I'm going to show you today a little bit on how to continue the swirl stitch. If you had some difficulties on this video, you may want maybe to watch my videos on the corkscrew stitch and the superbrick stitch. There are some similar ideas there, especially in the corkscrew stitch, so you can click there. And if you still haven't understand, I'll put some links down below. So let's begin. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make the swirl stitch. Now the swirl stitch is very similar to the corkscrew stitch and the kind of twist that goes, but there's also many differences that you can see that, for example, the outer twist is in different colors, changing always, and whereas also the inside is also changing the colors into blue and brown. So this is a little bit different also on the stitch. So the same as the corkscrew stitch, you have a 3x1 stitch. It means you have 3 strings on this side, 1 string on this side, 3 strings on this side, and 1 string on this side. Now you may want already to start your stitch, so you want to have already a 3x1 stitch, and today I'm going to show you on this stitch. So this yellow going to point on the right, that points towards you on the right, and this yellow will point on the left. So if you have the opposite direction, so if you have this one, that this yellow is on the left and this yellow is on the right. So if you have this one, you can make a superbrick stitch, and then it will turn out the same as this one. So if you make a superbrick stitch on this one, this yellow is going to change into here, and this yellow will change into here. So that's that. So enough talking, and let's start the stitch. So again, you want to make sure that this yellow string is on the right, and this yellow string is on the left. String that points towards you on the right. String that this string is points away from you is on the left. And what you first want to do, like always, is to find the main strings. So as I said previously in the corkscrew stitch and the superbrick stitch, the main strings are the strings. There are 2 strings that are the main strings, and all the other strings, all the 6 strings, will be woven on them. So weaving is usually over and under, so you'll see. Okay, so what is the main strings for the swirl stitch? Now the swirl stitch is different than the superbrick stitch and the corkscrew stitch, because as you remember that the superbrick stitch and corkscrew stitch, the main strings will be the same as before, so it'll be these 2 yellows. But on the swirl stitch, you'll have something else. Instead of these yellows, you'll have this blue and this brown. Why this blue and this brown? Because these 2 are last strings that on the left to right side. So again, you have this brown, this brown, this blue, and this blue, and this blue, dark blue, and this dark blue on the left right side, and the 2 edges will be the brown, and this dark blue. So these will be the 2 main strings. And where to put them? You need to put them like you done with superbrick stitch. So you remember that on the yellow, so on a superbrick stitch, you took this yellow and you put it in between in the same position of a loop. So this yellow, if you follow it, you'll follow this yellow, and you'll see that this loop is this yellow, and then you need to take this yellow, because this loop is in between this yellow and this brown. You need to put the yellow in between the brown and the blue and the yellow, and the second yellow, and then the same thing over here. So like that, if you remember. So on the swirl stitch, we need to put, so again, these two strings are our main strings, and we want to take this dark blue and put it at the same spot. So we need to put it at the loop of this yellow. You need to remember that, okay? So we need to put it in between this yellow and this brown. And then, so after you put it like that, for example, you do the same thing with this brown. So if you started with this brown, you need to put it in between this yellow and this dark blue. So what we want to do is, again, you want to take this dark blue and put it in between this yellow and this brown, like that. And the same thing with this brown. You need to put it in between, towards this loop, the position of this loop. So in between this dark blue and this yellow. Now I need to find the string that will be over here. So the side that is the closest to me, this side. So you need to first check on this on the right side. So on the right side, it can be only the string that is closer to me. So it can be only this yellow. And also, if you check over here, what is the closer string that is next to me, it will be this blue. So it's either this yellow or this light blue. Now I'll show you why it's going to be the string that will be over here on the side will be the yellow, and then I'll show you why it's not the blue. So again, if you go over under with this yellow, if you're done with corkscrew stitch, if you do like that and hold this blue string, you can see that this yellow will never fall off. That's good. That's why it's this yellow. You can do everything we want, it will never fall off. And if I do the same thing, if I want to keep this light blue on this side, you can see that if I hold again this dark blue and go with this light blue, go over under, like we always do. Now, if I hold this dark blue, you can see that the light blue will fall off. You can see there's no support. The brown and the dark blue will never hold this light blue. And that's why it's not, this light blue won't be at the edge over here. Okay, so that's why it's not going to be this light blue. So again, we need to always keep the dark blue and this brown on where we need to be, and we want to again weave the yellow string over under. Okay, so now you want to find the next string to weave. So we've done the first string that we done is this yellow. It was on the right side. So now I'm going to continue on the left side, and we need to check out of these 3 strings who is the closer to me. So you can see this blue is the closer to me. So I need to weave this blue string over under. And you can see also we form now a box stitch out of these 4 strings. We form a box stitch, and now what you can do is don't need to hold all the strings here. So I can move everything I want and it will never fall, because when I form a box stitch is a stitch, and stitch is always going to want to keep to be a stitch. So of course, if you do it like that, it will fall off, but if you don't do it, it will keep like that. So you don't need to now to hold all these 4 strings. And now, so we done this side, we done this yellow, it was in the right side. Then we done this light blue, it was on the left side. And then we'll continue again with string that will be closer to me on the right side. So let's check and we can see that it's going to be this dark blue. So this dark blue will be the third string to be woven on this side and the left and right side. So again, okay, so we've done the dark blue, and it was on the right side, and I'm going to continue by going on the left side now. So I need to choose out of these two strings what is closer to me. It's going to be the brown. So we're going to weave over under to take the brown and weave over the dark blue and under the brown. And now we want to we have only two strings now, the yellow and the light blue. And again, also you have now a stitch, a brick stitch, a kind of brick stitch. So you can see. So what you can do is you don't need to hold all the strings here because it's a stitch. So like this dark blue is locked inside, this brown locked inside, all of our string also locked inside the stitch. So you don't need to hold all the strings. You can do like that, whatever you want, to never fall. And we have only now the yellow and the light blue. So you can continue by going on the right side, because we're done now on the left side, this brown, and you can continue by the right side, this light blue. So if you, but usually I take the other one. So if I do this light blue, it can fall off very easily. So if you go over the brown and under the dark blue, it will fall very easily. You can see it can fall. So instead of taking this blue string, I'll take the yellow string and weave over under. Try to keep it straight, so like that. And then weave blue string. So the blue string always needs to be in between the yellow and the brown. So not like that, and also not like that. You need to put it in between the yellow and the brown. So like that. And weaving over a brown and under the dark blue, and also keeping this straight, so like that. And that's it. Now just need to pull all the strings. So pulling the strings is, again, it's like pulling strings on the corkscrew stitch or the superbrick stitch. So it's nothing special. So you can, for example, take all 4 strings here, 4 strings here, and pull. And then, for example, take 3 strings here, pull again, and again 4 strings. And that's it. So you can see now that the main strings now, the next stitch, the main strings will be the two yellows. So I'll give you the challenge for you to solve it on your own. So you can follow the same order. The colors here would now be different, but the way you do it is the same thing like I done in this video. So if you still have problems, I'll put some descriptions for more information about this stitch. And thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you want me to do other stitches. Okay, so bye bye.